Hi, my name is Simon Liversidge. I'm the lead pastor at College View SDA Adventist Church here in Lincoln, Nebraska, and this is my story. My story starts in Papua New Guinea, which is where I was raised. My parents were missionaries. I grew up in a missionary family. Somehow you think you know about Jesus when you grow up in a missionary family. Then I moved to the United States when I was 10 years old, went to Seventh-day Adventist schools, went to Shenandoah Valley Academy, went to Andrews University, and at the end of my time at Andrews University, I was having to decide what to do with my life. And I thought about becoming a pastor, even though I was not involved in ministry at all while I was there at Andrews, or barely anything. One day when I was thinking about it, I went to my dad, who was a pastor, and I asked him, "Dad, what do you think about me going to seminary?" And he said to me some words that really changed my life. He said, "Simon, what makes you think that becoming a minister is going to make you involved in ministry when you're not involved in ministry now?" And I said, "Good point." And so I did my option number one, which was going to law school. I had been accepted to UCLA to law school, and I was really excited about it. I dreamed of being an attorney for quite a few years, and so I packed up and moved out to Los Angeles and began law school. About halfway through my second year in law school, I was wondering if I was making the right move, and I had the chance, the blessing of going and doing an internship at the United Nations in Vienna, Austria. And during that time, it was a moment in my life when I was really thinking about what I really wanted, and I was far away from everyone that I knew. I was not accountable to anyone. Those were back in the days before cell phones and anything like that. And so I was just kind of living on my own, doing whatever I wanted. And when I came back to the U.S. after that semester, I felt like God was really speaking to me, but I didn't even know what that meant. I decided to stop drinking alcohol. I never drank a lot, but I used to drink some with my friends just to hang out. Really wasn't thinking of it as a spiritual decision, but I was thinking, I need life to be different. And I remember the one thing that I kept thinking, I have lived my entire spiritual life on the fence, and I'm not going to live my life on the fence. I'm going to go one side or the other. And I felt like for the last few years of my life, I had definitely not been on God's side. So I wanted to try and do something different. And I said, I want to try God's side, but I had no idea how to do that or what it would look like. Right before my third year in law school, I was driving back across the country to Los Angeles, and I went to a wedding in Las Vegas, of all places. One of my friends was getting married, and I went there and I met this young lady there who was excited about Jesus. She was into praise music and worship, and she loved Jesus with all her heart. And I looked at her, and in that one moment, I felt God saying to me, "That's what I have for you, Simon." And I literally felt like my whole life up until that point felt like it was in order and in place. In that one moment, I felt like I had received the gift of meaning and purpose in my life. I knew what I was intended for. I knew what God had made me for. I understood what it was like and meant to be part of the family of God. And I became part of the family of God. I became involved in church, and I'd never really been involved in church life before. I joined a small group, which was a wonderful opportunity for me and a different experience, something I'd never done before, and I learned all about praise music. Up until that point in my life, I was never into worship. And I began to learn to love worship and began to sing to God and to be able to praise with other people, and it really changed my life. And from that moment on, worship has been a huge part of my own journey with Jesus. From that moment on, as I began to get involved in ministry life, everything kind of changed. I finished law school, I worked as an attorney for a few years, and then I had to decide what I wanted for my future. During those last years, those 2 years, me and another one of my great friends, we had begun to lead a young adult ministry at our church, and that young adult ministry had boomed. And because of that, the conference office was looking to me, and they asked me if I wanted to come in and interview to be a pastor. I thought, wow. And then didn't plan on that. My dad had talked me out of that years before, and I decided, sure, I'll go and interview, and I came out of there as a youth and young adult pastor for the Southern California Conference. And being a pastor doesn't make you a minister. You're a minister because God's got a hold of your heart, and you become involved, and you can do that whether you're a pastor or anything else. It just so happened that I was spending so much of my time and my life doing it that I couldn't imagine doing anything else. And Jesus and I, we've been close ever since. And I've had the incredible privilege and opportunity That being able to share my story and to share other people's stories and to hear their stories and to invite God to come and do the same thing to their lives that God has done to mine, which is turn my life around and give me an incredible love and passion for Jesus. Hi friends, that is my story, and I appreciate you letting me share it. If you have a story that you would like to share, we invite you also to reach out to Campus Ministries here at Union College and share your story of Jesus.